Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of How I Built It, podcast where I talk to entrepreneurs and professionals to talk about how they built their careers and businesses. And today, I'm excited to be chatting with a founder and Capital Factory's Founder of the Year for 2021, Cory McKane. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
So can you tell me a little bit about how you got into tech?
Yeah, so I kind of just jumped into it. At that point, I wouldn't have even considered saying that I was getting into tech. I kind of just had, my friends and I came home from class. My roommates were working on the whiteboard. They were designing they're like, let's make an app. And literally it's been almost 7 years and I'm still building it. So that's kind of how it went. I basically came home. I was like, yeah, maybe we'll do like a fitness app. And we're like, sweet. And one thing led to another. And all of a sudden it's like me and another roommate and the other two had left. And then a couple days later, we're still figuring things out. We're like, let's do this, let's do that. Let's make trainers can do this. And it's like this weird thing. And then like a month later, 2 months later, all of a sudden it's just me. And then I'm like driving around Seattle, pitching people. And then I moved to LA and we launched this B2C app. And then like now years later, we're B2B. And then we're launching B2C again here soon. So it's like, it's just been back and forth, flip-flop. Really long story. I don't really know how to summarize it in a few minutes, but
I think you actually did a great job.
So jumped in.
So I kind of like two things that you speak about is like spontaneity and then also experimentation, which I think are like a very huge part of the entrepreneurial journey. But if I may ask, why exactly did you choose the fitness industry? Like, what was the draw for you?
So I had worked in gyms for years, and I also played sports growing up. So I was kind of like pushed into that arena. Like they're like getting you to lift weights when you're in high school, when you're playing football or basketball or whatever. And yeah, working at those gyms, I had done a couple different weightlifting competitions. But basically, the reason I made my first app was it was a marketplace for fitness programs where we had. After years of working on it, because I had no idea what I was doing when I first started, we had hundreds of personal trainers all over the world that sold. We had over 600 like full-length fitness plans. So you can go in the app and say like, I want to work out 5 days a week, 30 minutes per day. I want to do bodybuilding plans or weight loss plans, and then blah, 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 blah. So the reason we started that is because I noticed that there are all these amazing trainers in my life that have these great programs, and yet I myself know what I'm doing, but I'm still in the gym, like on Google, like what should I do to get my bench up? Or like I'd see my friends just doing like curls and they do like squat and they would go home because they literally like, I don't know what I'm doing, like Googling stuff. And so I wanted to bring these amazing fitness plans that my trainers friends had built to the people in my life that didn't have workouts and kind of combine those into a marketplace. So that's why I got into fitness. I thought it was a huge gap in the industry. We ended up launching, and there were just at that time, like Nike had their big app like that they have. They had just kind of like improved that. Gymshark had just launched their app. Literally everyone on the planet had an app at that point. And so even though we were marketing, take that back. We definitely had no budget for marketing. I did not know what I was doing. I wasn't doing any A/B testing. We didn't have landing pages. Looking back on that original B2C launch, we just didn't know anything. And we were kind of just like, hopefully this works. And so after that launch, a lot of stuff happened and we ended up flipping to B2B, started building out our all-in-one software for personal trainers and physical therapists. And I've been building that ever since. So,
that's a super adventurous story.
So it's got a lot more. Yeah, I've had like, at one point I flew to LA and I had like a $250,000 investor like ghost me, and I was just in LA for a week. I've had we had our app. I had a big launch party in 2018, and we had like a rooftop in Santa Monica, 100 plus people, free drinks all night. And Apple pulled my app from the App Store that day. Wow. So I've had like tons of stuff like that happen where, people were like signing in on a sheet to like sign up for the app that would be live in like a month. And we had like this big party. It was just so stupid. But so many of those things have happened on this journey, but just blessed to still be here and, not in like the entrepreneurship graveyard basically. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So tell me, what has been because that's a very good segue into my next question is like, of course, every entrepreneur has faced their own challenges, and yours like sound, very colorful. And how have you been able to kind of like overcome those, or how do you push forward despite the challenges?
Yeah, I think because I've been doing this like 7 years at this point. I think in the first couple of years, it's really hard, and you kind of just like can't figure out why things aren't working. And like to this day, like there's certain things that I'm like, I don't know why. Like we're already growing pretty well, but I'm like, why aren't we growing faster? Like, why isn't our revenue like shooting through the roof yet? So there's things that maybe I'll never figure out, but hopefully I do. But you just learn to, one, be really patient, because especially in software if you're not like a developer, you have to kind of just wait for your team to finish things. Like your mobile devs, your front end, back end devs, like if they're like, you can only do so much. So like you have to learn to be patient and like understand that like you're relying on other people. It's a full team effort, and you can't just do everything. That's the first thing, is just kind of just like, if I can't control it, like why would I let it stress me out? Second thing is being optimistic. I'm like unwaveringly optimistic, unfortunately, which can lead to be a bad thing when I tell my users like, we're going to have this ready in a week, and then it's like not ready for 2 months. So I think I'm trying to stay optimistic, but be more realistic at the same time. So yeah, I think optimism has got me through. I mean, I've had so much crap happen to me along all of the years. And so many investors have rejected me. So many trainers have like switched to a different app and like all this stuff. And we're finally at a point now where it's like, we just closed our pre-seed round, and I didn't even have to pitch to any
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't have to pitch to any investors. They were coming to me, and I was kind of like, I was like, hey, we don't necessarily need the money, but like, let's start growing the team, make it better. So it's been fun. But yeah, optimism and patience definitely have been the two.
So, well, another dub, you were named Founder of the Year for Capital Factory for 2021. How did that make you feel?
I felt great. I mean, to be honest, the guy that won Company of the Year, they're doing like $1 billion in revenue. So I was like, I mean, he definitely deserved that more than me. But it felt great. I mean, basically what I did was I moved to Austin 1 year ago, and I just kind of dove into the community. I became a part of Capital Factory's accelerator. I scheduled probably like 70 different office hours with mentors, trying to like learn everything I can about the community, and just be able to like improve my platform. I've hosted like 3 or 4 different pretty massive events around there, which is where I met you at one of my events. And I just kind of just made sure that I was just as involved as possible. And they were like, hey, we're thinking of doing a Founder of the Year award this year. We want to give it to you. And I was like, sweet, let's do it.
Yeah, I know it might not necessarily be the biggest trophy out there, but again, it's still good validation for you as a founder who's been in the trenches for 7 years at this point to finally get some recognition from the community. And speaking of community, like you said, you've been doing events. What is your biggest motivation? Like, why are you so big in community, and why do you do the things that you do to kind of like get the community together?
Well, I've always been like a host. Like growing up, I was always the one that like organized all my group trips with my friends, and like had the hotel booked, had the places we were going to go book. So like I've always been organized in that front. The reason I actually initially started doing events was when I was in LA. I hosted probably, I want to say about 5 events with like 80 to 110 people, just like all entrepreneurs, all startups. I'd never like publicly put it out there and let like random people that weren't in the startup, like I didn't let people that were like, they're my friends, but like I didn't let my real estate friends or my life insurance friends show up. Like it was just people that were in tech. And so basically I just wanted to make a really good community, but I started it because there was this guy in LA that was just like a total dick. Like just, he was rude to the restaurants that he hosted the venue or hosted his networking events at. His events were small with like 15, 20 people, and I'd have to drive all the way across town, and like, he was never even there. He never gave anyone information. Like it would just be like, show up at this time, and then he wouldn't even be there. So it kind of just pissed me off, and I was like, I'm just going to do these better. And I started hosting them, and I would do them like all over Los Angeles so people could all experience it. So I would do like, I did one event downtown. I did Hollywood, Long Beach, Venice, Marina Del Rey. I did Santa Monica. Like I would just kind of rotate venues each time. And so I wanted to do it with one because I knew I could do it better and more respectful than him. But 2, I feel like I do a good job of just like bringing people together, and I don't force like the name tags. And if I see someone that's kind of like by themselves, not talking to anyone, I'll go out of my way to like grab them and like put them into a group so that they can meet people. Because I know what it's like. Like I'm a very social person, but when I go to networking events, I'm like, if I don't have anyone to talk to, I'm like awkward. I'm like, what do I do? Like, are people looking at me weird? Like, what's going on? So, just like I like bringing people together, and it's fun. And then the third reason is when you host the event, you get to meet like 100 people, and you don't really have to like talk to anyone first. They talk to you. So that's probably the most beneficial part of it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So finally, what is your ultimate vision for your app, WeStrive, and where do you see it going?
Yeah, so we're actually going to be in the next 2 years building the world's first all-in-one health and wellness platform. So right now, we work primarily with trainers. We've got a couple different. We actually have two physical therapy, one physical therapist and one physical therapy clinic using the platform. We just partnered with this company called Daxco. They operate about 17,000 gyms softwares, and we're going to become the personal training arm for those gyms. So we're going to start working with gym software, which is exciting. But those are kind of like side things. The main thing is that basically within about 2 years, if I'm a consumer, I can use WeStrive to track my workouts. We're adding nutrition this summer, so you can track nutrition. You can do your body weight, your progress, all that fun stuff. And then I'm going to have all these professionals, and you can think of them as buckets. So I'll have like a physical therapist, a trainer, a nutritionist. Because right now, it's kind of back to that Google problem that I mentioned initially, is that if I want to find a nutritionist, I would have to go on Google. Like if I were to ask you right now, like if you don't have a physical therapist and you wanted a physical therapist, where would you find one at?
Like
you'd probably go to Google, or you would like maybe text a friend, like I don't know what are you doing? Whereas like we're going to have a platform that is going to have all these professionals already running their business through our tools. Like we have billing software, inbox, program builders, like document storage, like literally everything you could need. They're already going to be running their business, and then we're basically going to be able to connect the consumers to the professionals. And so not only that, but they'll also be able to collaborate. So a physical therapist, a nutritionist, and a personal trainer can all work with that individual client. Whereas right now, if I'm a client and I go to a personal trainer, I could be training with them for 5 years, and then all of a sudden I hurt my back. I go to the physical therapist, and he goes, all right, what do you do for your workouts? And I'm just kind of like, oh, well, we do squat and bench. With WeStrive, you'll be able to go, here's all my workouts for the last 5 years with my trainer, and then he can literally like look at what you're doing and go like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that kind of a thing. So it's going to be basically an all-in-one tool for both the consumers and the professionals.
So it's definitely a more data-driven approach and like more visibility all across the board for both providers and users. And
exactly.
That's definitely really cool, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah.
I want to give you say a big thank you to you for making our time to chat with me today.
Of course.
On the podcast. I really wish you all the best of luck with your build, and wish you a lot of success.
Appreciate it, man. There we go.
Man.
Good stuff, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for sticking to the end of the show. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also like it and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video drops. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.